What if I told you that momentum, not motivation, is actually the real key to long-term success? Whether you're trying to lose body fat, build muscle, get back on track, or grow in any area of your life, or be a better tennis player, a better pickleball player, a better golfer, or whatever it might be, it's momentum that makes things easier, more energizing, and more sustainable. Today, I'm going to break down the 4-step framework that I've recently come up with that I just discussed with former top 100 tennis player Jeff Salzenstein on our podcast. This is a framework to help build and keep momentum in your life, because we talk about building momentum, but we also want to make sure we keep it and we don't lose it. And that's what we talk about in this episode. We talk about how to make sure we accelerate momentum and that we don't let it slip through our grasp. All right, you guys, I am really excited about this episode. I feel like I say that every time, but I really am pumped about this episode. So I had a conversation or an interview on the Best You podcast with Jeff Salzenstein. Jeff was a former top 100 tennis player. You got to realize tennis is one of those sports where it is so damn difficult to be one of the top players, because you have to fund yourself going to specific tournaments, and then only if you place at a particular level do you even make any money, and you can only rely on yourself. You don't have any teammates. It's so brutal on your body because all of the start and stop and the endurance part of it, right? Like, it's such a difficult sport. And this guy was in the top 100 at this one point in his life. And I remember we were talking about tennis and having a conversation. Look, anybody who's played tennis, or not even tennis, but I've been playing pickleball recently, so I'm going to probably mention a few examples of that in this episode. But anybody who's played any sport, whether it's baseball, basketball, softball, football, soccer, whatever it is, you know momentum is a thing. You know that when you have momentum, you feel like you can run through a freaking brick wall. And you feel like when you don't have momentum, like, oh my gosh, nothing is going right. And so I want to talk about how to actually harness motivation, how to build it, and how to keep it. And if you've lost it, how to actually get it back. So I think this is going to be really good, and I hope you guys really enjoy it. So, and the reason why this became top of mind and what really got me thinking more deeply about it is Jeff started to talk about in this episode how in tennis, it's very difficult to win 2 points in a row. And then he said it's even more difficult to win 3 points in a row. And he was like, if you win 2 points in a row, you tend to relax a little bit because you kind of have this perception that you're further ahead than you are. We kind of have that if we, win a point, win a second point, we're feeling good and we feel like, we're ahead. So we tend to maybe relax a little bit. And the other players like, I'm very behind. And you have this kind of, quote, back against the wall type mentality. And so when you have this back against the wall type mentality, you're like, I have to do whatever it takes. I have to bring the effort. I got to be focused in order to win this. And so that provides you with maybe this spark to have more effort. Whereas if you're ahead and you're playing ahead, then you might have this sense of complacency. You might perceive that you're further ahead than you actually are. Therefore, you bring less effort to the table. That's why it's so hard to win 2 points in a row, or very hard to win 3 points in a row. That's why sustaining success is so impressive. That's why Nick Saban, the coach of Alabama, who won national championship after national championship after national championship, that's why he's the GOAT, because sustaining success and sustaining momentum is so damn hard, and doing it is so impressive. And so another tennis example, and hopefully you guys know some bit about tennis, but this is very relatable to other sports as well. Like in tennis, let's say you're down 40-love or 40-0, or let's say in baseball, you're down 6-0 in the first 3 innings. You feel like you have very little chance to win. But let's say you win the next point. You're 40-15. Or let's say in the 4th inning you score 2 runs. So you're 6-2. It's like, okay, probably still not going to win, but there's a little chance. Then you win the next point. Instead of 40-15, it's 40-30. And then the next inning, you score 2 more runs. So instead of 6-2, it's 6-4. It's like, oh man, I know I was far behind, but I actually got a chance now at this thing. And then you win the next point. And so it's 40-40, it's deuce. And then you play the next inning and then you score 2 more runs and it's 6-6 and you're like, oh my gosh, now actually I have the momentum. And think about that. That's all perception because you're actually tied. It's actually, quote, 0-0. But because you've won the last number of points, because you've scored 2 runs inning after inning after inning, you have this sense of momentum. You have this sense of belief that, man, I'm going to win this thing, even though the score is the exact same. So that really got me thinking about, like, okay, how can we harness that? How can we deliberately find ways to generate that type of momentum in our real life? Because most of us aren't pro tennis players. We're not pro baseball players. And so we can't relate to, okay, I just need to score 2 runs next inning. I just need to win the next point. So how do we actually get there? So we're going to get there in a second. The other thing I want to say is on the flip side of the coin. That's how we've gained momentum. But what about people who are trying to stop momentum? What are people, if momentum is you're losing momentum, how do you stop that so you can turn the tide in the right direction? So again, let's say in tennis, you're starting a new game and it's 0-0, and then you go down 0-40. There's this psychological tool or this psychological feeling like, man, we got to stop the bleeding. Man, we have to find a way to get out of this. All I need is maybe one good serve or one good hit to get myself back in this thing. I need to stop the bleeding. I know in pickleball, if you're tied like 2-2 and then all of a sudden you're down 4-2, 5-2, 6-2, you're like, oh my gosh, we just have to find a way to get the serve back in our hand. We need to find a way to stop the bleeding. So that stop the bleeding, back against the wall mentality can sometimes really allow us to bring more effort to the table, more focus to the table to start flipping that momentum. So how does this actually translate? I've been giving sports analogies this whole time. How does that translate to real life? How can we actually build momentum and keep momentum in our real life? Here's what I want to think about. 4 steps. Number 1, a prerequisite. A few of these are going to be kind of prerequisites to momentum. The first prerequisite is having a goal. Think about it. If you can kind of gain momentum by seeing progress renders itself impossible to be made unless you're working towards something. There is no such thing as progress if you're not progressing towards something. And so that something needs to be clearly defined, meaning you need a goal. You need something that you're pursuing. If you don't have a specific thing that you're pursuing, then how do you know whether or not you're making progress, right? Like a tennis player is trying to win a match. When they win a couple points in a row, they are getting closer. They are progressing towards winning that match. A baseball player, they're looking to win the game. So when they score some runs, they are progressing closer towards winning that game. And so we need a game to play. We need to specifically, clearly define a goal, and we know what winning actually means. So a prerequisite for momentum is having a goal, a clearly defined one. The second one is hope. That's kind of like we have a goal. We need some level of hope to feel like we have a little bit of momentum. That's kind of step number 2, having a little bit of hope. How can we get hope? Well, let's say we set a goal. If we see evidence of other people having achieved that goal themselves, then it's like, okay, they've achieved it. Maybe I can achieve it. Maybe you ask questions and you talk to people who've actually achieved it. Maybe you get a little closer to it, right? Like maybe you read an article about somebody achieving the goal that you want to achieve. And you're like, oh man, that provides me with a little bit of hope. But then maybe you actually have a conversation with somebody who has achieved that goal. And it's like, oh man, if they can do it, I can do it too, because they're just a human being and I'm a human being and I can do this thing too. That's what kind of happened with me with my goal of opening up a gym. Like once I started having conversation with gym owners, I'm like, that guy can do it. I can do it. That provided me with a little bit more hope and a little bit more momentum. And then step number 3 is kind of as hope starts to transition into belief. Where does belief come from? To me, the first thing that belief comes from your competence, meaning your knowledge, your skills, and experience. When you start to enhance your tennis skills or your baseball skills or your skills at your job, you have more belief that you can attain the goal that you set out to attain. You can achieve the goal that you set out to achieve. And so to start building more momentum, you need to build up your knowledge, your skills, and your experience. And that is well within your control. Gaining your knowledge, your skills, and experience. That gets momentum, the ball moving even a little bit faster. The second way that you can build belief is your belief in your ability to just figure it out. I think that's one of the biggest sources of confidence that I have is I have the ability that I'm going to figure it out. I might not know the answer now, but I know I'm going to do the work to figure it out. And the way that you build that belief is through what I always talk about in the 10-week transformation. You become the type of person who follows through with the promises that you make to yourself. Because even if you don't know how to achieve the goal, but if you make promises to yourself to ask the right questions, to do the right research, to experiment, like I talked about last week in the Clarity Matrix episode, then all it takes is you being the type of person who follows through, and then clarity is going to be reveal itself, and then you'll see more about how to achieve the goal. And then lastly, in terms of building belief, is that you actually start to make progress. Once you start to make progress, you believe like, oh man, I'm hitting some stepping stones here. They might not just be huge stepping stones. They might be small ones, but the small ones count too. And this momentum is slowly but surely having that snowball effect where the snowball starts small and then it gradually builds and builds and builds. And soon that thing is freaking rolling down a hill like a boulder. And so you have to set a goal because you need to be progressing towards something. And then you start to build a little bit of hope. And I think you can do that by seeing other people who have achieved it, having conversations with people who have achieved it. And then you start to build more belief. And you build belief by building your own knowledge, skills, and experience. You be the type of person who follows through with your own promises. And once you start to make progress, then you really have a greater sense of belief. To me, that's how you gain momentum. You set a goal, you have some sort of hope, and then you build as much belief as you can. How do you keep it? That's step number 4. You keep it by having best I've ever been, worst I'll ever be mentality. The never get complacent mentality. The stay hungry, stay humble mentality. The keep the back against the wall mentality. You never want to get comfortable. You never want to feel like you've arrived. You've never become the best version of yourself. You have to continue to develop. Kansas City Chiefs, you have not arrived. You have to continue to get better. New York Yankees back in the day, you have not arrived. You have to continue to get better. New England Patriots back in the day, you have not arrived. You have to continue to get better. Nick Saban, Alabama Crimson Tide back in the day, you've never arrived. You got to keep getting better. That is what allowed those people to maintain their momentum over a period of time, never settling, never looking in the mirror and be like, damn, you're good. You are good enough. Like, man, you're going to keep winning. It's like, no, you have to identify the ways that you're not good enough. You have to identify the ways that not just you're not good enough, but you have to see like, oh, I can get better here. Oh, I can get better here. Oh, I can get better here. That's what watching game film as an athlete is all about. You identify the things that will allow you to get better. You don't watch game film to just glorify all the great plays that you made. You watch game film so that you can identify the holes in your game so that you can continue to get better. So how do you maintain momentum? Once you've scored 6 runs in an inning and you're up 6-0, view it as a 0-0 ball game. View it as you're only up 6-5, or maybe view it as you're down 6-8. Have that back against the wall mentality. How can you do it if you in real life? Maybe like you are making a lot of money and you're very happy about making a lot of money, and like that a lot of money might make you have a little bit less drive. Put that money in a savings account. Put that money in an investing account. Don't keep too much money in your checking account, the account that you're always looking at, so that you have that sense of urgency. You know, maybe you only say a few $1,000s in your checking account and there's a bunch of more $1,000s in savings and investing, but because you only see that few $1,000s, it's like, man, I got to go. Man, I got to work. Man, I got to work. Man, I got to work. That's what I personally try to do with my money, is to keep that back against the wall mentality. Like, yeah, I know I've had some success here and there, but no, I got to keep going. I got to keep going. Don't get complacent. I got fired up there. I love this topic. I think it's so good. I hope you enjoyed this. And I hope you found a way to maybe translate it into your own life in some way, shape, or form. Remember, you got to have a goal. So if you don't have any goals, let's go. Number 2, you have to find some way to have a little bit of hope. And I think a couple of great ways is to see other people who have done it, have conversations with other people who have done it. Build belief by taking control of building your knowledge, skills, and experience, following through, and then actually moving the needle, actually doing the work, actually making progress. And then lastly, to keep that momentum, keep the back against the wall mentality. I'm the best I've ever been, but no, I'm the worst I'm ever going to be. I'm going to continue to get better one day at a time. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you actually want to watch the interview that I did with former top 100 tennis player Jeff Salzenstein, then you can click on this video. If you're watching on YouTube, you can click right here. If you're listening, then you can search for the Jeff Salzenstein episode on how to stop sabotaging your performance. It was a great episode. I loved talking with Jeff. And if you're interested in joining us at the Best You Retreat, the ultimate best I've ever been, worst I'll ever be mentality, then we're going from January 8th to 11th in 2026. And you can join us for the free workshop called the Build Your Intentional Life Workshop on Wednesday, October 29th at 5 p.m. Central Time. And you can register that completely for free by going to nickcarrier.com/intentional. Again, it's Wednesday, October 29th at 5 p.m. Central Time. Go to nickcarrier.com/intentional to sign up today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you're like, you know what? I'm going to go build some momentum. And maybe I have momentum now, but I'm going to keep that back against the wall mentality. I hope it fired you up. I hope it got you going. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, make sure you hit that follow button. If you're watching on YouTube, come on, baby. Hit that like and subscribe button down below. Hope you all have a great rest of your day. I hope this allows you to get closer to your health and fitness goals and other goals that you might have in life. And ultimately, I hope this helps with the ultimate goal of continuing to get closer and closer to your best you.